Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome on into another artist spotlight number 17 brought to you by Mancave101 Podcast. We hope you guys are enjoying the series. We got a special one for you today. I'm going to leave the introductions up to my man Chase. Before we get into that, just let me introduce him. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Big Chase, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on, bro? Listen, like the man said, we got a special one, man. This one is near and dear to my heart, as they say, and whatnot. Our artist spotlight, we're bringing you the greatest content creators on the planet, old, new, anything that you need to check out. So if you looked at the background on the wallpaper, you probably recognize a lot of this artwork. So without further ado, we're gonna bring him out. My brother, Andre Leroy Davis.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, man.
What's up?
Hey,
how you feeling?
Welcome to the Man Cave, man. Welcome to the Man Cave.
Thank you. I just came from the. You pushed me to the back seat. I was chilling with Rosa Parks. And now we up in the front.
Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. So first of all, I just want to thank you for coming on the platform. Listen, I'm a fan in this story. So if any of you guys remember a little magazine called The Source, which pretty much ruled the entire scene in the 90s and 2000s, you had to flip to the back of that magazine and find the last word and a nice little cartoon every episode. And man, listen, we used to couldn't wait to grab it because we just wanted to see what you were going to draw next. We was going to see like who are you going to do next month? Who's in the back? Yeah. And whatnot. So
I wanted to see that too. That was just it was just the kind of flow and how it became through the years, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So listen, let's start at the beginning. How did you get started just drawing in general?
I've been drawing more or less straight out my mother's womb.
Oh, okay.
Lack of a better word. My older brother, who was 8 years older than me, he was an artist. I used to watch him draw. So it's like you imitate, you're mimicking, you're watching your older brother. So when people ask me when I started drawing, it's not even being dumb. I don't remember. I just remember I was drawing. And my brother was intense. And he would do drawings of me, caricatures, make me cry.
As brothers do.
The shit older brothers do. And when he made me cry, he wouldn't stop there. He would do another drawing. So I realized, I wanted to draw too. Imitating him, want to get back at him. And then I realized I can actually do this. So I was a shy kid, so I found my voice through drawing.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's what's up, man. Listen, them older brothers. I didn't have older brothers. I had older cousins. And I remember,
they torture you just the same.
Yeah. Listen, it's the same, bro. And they all play basketball, so I was a little guy in the basketball court, and I remember just like, I'm gonna go out there and learn. So the next time we go play, I'm gonna beat them.
Yeah. So they was dunking on you and shit.
Huh? Yeah, listen, dunking and shooting 3-pointers and all of that. I'm like, I gotta learn how to do this, man.
Yeah. That's the best revenge.
It's a fact.
Becoming as good or improving on your shit, that's the best revenge.
Yeah, I agree. So at what point did you become affiliated with the Source magazine?
I love this question because of how big the Source became.
Okay.
People ask me, so how did you get down with the Source and all this other stuff? So I was already doing freelance art and when I got out of college. So I considered myself already a professional artist doing work for magazines like Emerge, Discover, Playgirl. I was already doing work, but I was not drawing people who looked like me.
Okay.
So I'm strolling around the city. These are gonna be old school moments, so we may have to put words up so we can describe this shit to people. But I'm walking around the city. I come across a newsstand that sells magazines. How you used to go is you would look through the magazines,
right?
Look for the timeline. Well, not the timeline, the byline.
Right.
See who the music editors are, see where they located, look for their phone number. All
Right.
right. So I found a phone number and I went to a corner phone booth. There were no cell phones. I used my quarter. I think it was a quarter at that time. And called up the place. I was on Broadway and Lafayette by the F train.
Okay.
For
Okay.
those who know
Very
New
familiar.
York.
New York
Yeah.
City.
It's now, I think it is, what is it? Adidas store.
I haven't
might
been
be
in a while. Yeah,
right at that corner. It used to be a gas station.
Yeah.
So
Funny. I used to actually work over at Broadway and Lafayette.
okay,
A company called Pseudo.com, which was one of the first companies to ever do streaming on the East Coast.
Okay.
It was just
Was
us.
that during the .com era?
Yeah, that was when every company and a mother was just throwing money. We actually Pseudo actually owned the building that was right there on the corner next to the gas station.
Yeah, they had that .com money.
Yeah, we had that .com money. It was crazy.
So I called, and it turned out that they was at 594 Broadway, which is just more or less just across the street.
Right.
So went there, and they weren't the source yet, in my eyes, because they were in only one room,
right,
on the 5th floor. So I walk in, see John Schechter, who was the editor-in-chief back then, show him my portfolio, which was my resume of illustrations, more or less. Right. He looks through, he says, yo, I always wanted to add an element of illustration, because he was a fan of Mad Magazine. So his idea was, like Mad Magazine, the back page, you would fold it up and create something.
Right. I'm familiar.
So he wanted an element in the back where it wasn't folded up, but it was an illustration that summarized the magazine.
Okay.
So the very first thing they were summarizing was, I think Eazy-E had just been like, the FBI was probably tapping his phone to doing some kind of shit.
Right.
So he wanted me to come up with something like that. He wanted it in I think 2-3 days.
Okay.
No color, because that's early days of the source. They ain't had that budget, so nothing was in color. Everything was in black and white.
Right.
So, I was the master of meeting deadlines. So I met my deadline, bought it in, got my $50. So I knew I wasn't gonna make a living off of the source, but they were new. And it was the opportunity to draw what I knew, because I lived and breathed hip hop.
Right.
And I didn't think nothing of it. Figured that was it. Next month came around, got another call. Next month came around, got another call. And that went on for 16 years. Every issue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I might have just about every issue. The
first issue I was in was September 1990. Krs-one on the cover.
Okay, yeah, I know. I definitely got that in the archive somewhere. So
during the pandemic in 2020, where I couldn't do shit, we made 30 years anniversary on. I first did the last word, last word.
Yeah, that's dope. Like I said, if you come from my era, especially in the 90s, man, the source. So I went to school at Five Towns. Shout out to everybody at Five Towns College. The source was like our Bible. Like every month you had to find out who was on the cover, what stories was in there, and we always checked out the layout. What did he draw this month?
Yeah. See, people who weren't in that timeline, who weren't in that whole magazine era, don't understand the depth of it. I mean, when I was working and doing it, I didn't understand the depth of it. I think it really hit me one time when I was on my way home. I hopped on the train. I think the issue had just come out that week, and I was on a Q train heading home. And I stepped in a car, and there was about 6 people who didn't know each other,
right,
sitting at different ends throughout the train car,
right,
reading a Source magazine.
Yeah.
So, imagine that. One train car, 6 people reading the same magazine who don't know each other, but are connected because it's hip hop and what they do.
Listen,
so that was our Instagram. We didn't get our information that same day.
Yeah.
We had to wait a month to get everything in one magazine. So everybody was fiending.
And you read that source. I probably read the Source magazine 4 or 5 times at least.
Yeah, because you would always spot something new.
You had to reread that story, make sure he said this and he said that, and so it was our Bible, man. And we but I'm personally, they'll tell you, even with our comic nerdiness, man, I'm all about the art. I actually went to Erasmus Hall, and
that was my that would have been the high school that I would have been assigned to go to, because I lived in Flatbush. I lived in Victoria Road, Q Train.
Okay.
So that was my assigned high school if I did not go to the High School of Art and Design.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah. You know what? That's crazy. It was a friend of mine. We supposed to go. He ended up going to art design. I ended up going to Erasmus.
Yeah. Erasmus actually had an art program.
Yeah. No, they had a great program.
I mean, you might have got killed.
Yeah.
Art program.
Listen. No comment. Especially in our era, it was a little wild.
I'm talking about, I don't know how old you are, but I'm talking about 78, 79.
Okay,
having to possibly go to Erasmus.
Yeah.
When I lived in the neighborhood, and I'm like, hell no, I ain't going to Erasmus.
I came a little after you. I'm 86, 87-ish.
Okay. It was bad, but it was a different kind of bad.
Yeah, it was a different kind of bad. So through the years, so let me ask you a question. So they called you and they wanted you to do the next illustration. Did they tell you who to draw, or did you just decide?
Nah, it was never like that. It started as a summarization of the issue.
Okay.
Like whatever the big story was. What it evolved to was whoever was on the cover or whoever was the secondary story.
Right.
That's who the illustration focused on.
Okay.
Towards the end, it just became who was on the cover.
Okay.
So I would come in, they would tell me who was on the cover, because they found out that I wasn't just somebody coming up who they had to talk and tell what was going on in the world of hip hop. Right. I knew what was going on.
Oh, right.
So once they told me who they wanted me to draw, I just came in with like a sketch or two. They picked whatever sketch, we went from there. Because I got accustomed to how the work flowed, I knew how to get the one that I really wanted to use. I'd come up with either a great idea that'd be like, oh shit, we got to use this, and then the other one was just whack. So they had to pick the one I wanted.
Work in the system. I love it. I love it.
Learn how to play the game.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. So which drawings? Which drawing is the one that you love the most that you did?
I said you can't ask that question. You got kids?
Yeah.
Which is your favorite kid?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Chase. Answer for YouTube, bro.
So now what I will say is that there are a number of them where I met my goal. Okay. This was my goal when it came to my illustration. All right. Okay. First and foremost, I don't like the word kinda when it comes to my art. So if somebody says to me, you know what, that kind of looks like Ghostface, I failed.
Right.
My shit has to look like the person I am drawing so that there can be no conversation. Okay. So I gotta capture the likeness, right? I gotta write a good quality joke that is on 2 levels. A visual joke,
right,
and in your face joke.
Right.
And then a hidden joke that you might find somewhere within.
Right.
Once I do that and I make a statement, whether it be political, whether it be social,
right,
then I've accomplished what I wanted to do. My shit was always the trifecta. There had to be like 3 shits going on in order for me to be happy about it. So there's a number of those that I met, and there's those that I didn't met.
Okay. So the artists that you drew didn't know about the characters until the magazine dropped?
They did not know till the magazine came out.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I can imagine how that went.
Yeah, because it was more or less until they got to know me. It was annoying as fuck when I started there because it's like, yo, don't tell nobody. You can't tell. I'm like, I've done this shit before. So it was kind of secretive until it hit the newsstand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so most of the artists they were okay with it, or did anybody?
No. You got to remember, times are different now. I was what I would refer to, and I always pronounce the word wrong. Is it meme, man? What the hell is it?
Meme. It's a meme.
You got to think about it. The same way people come up with shit now. That something happens, they go into Photoshop, they piece shit together.
Right.
I was the original meme that you had to wait for monthly.
a monthly meme.
All right.
Monthly meme.
I had to wait for it. You had to wait for it and see. So nobody who was melanin kissed or Hispanic was making fun of rappers at that time. You had white magazines like Spin and maybe Voice, the newspaper, who would write articles about hip hop,
right?
But they would talk about how we all look the same, everybody wore the same chain, the same shit with country music. They all look the same with cowboy hats, but nobody was clowning their shit. But they were clowning hip hop. So you had people who didn't know a damn thing about hip hop clowning hip hop.
Right.
So here comes the Source magazine, which is all about hip hop. And now we have somebody either, I don't say I clowned certain people who needed to be clowned,
right?
But I never went at anybody, but I made fun of folks.
Right.
So yeah, there were a couple people who were mad in the early days of me doing it, and I had many threats. And but I was also 24.
Right,
from Brooklyn.
We
really didn't give a fuck. So we were good.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. And listen, I'm glad you from the hometown. I'm glad you did what you did.
Well, let me tell you, since I know you from around Erasmus way, it might outdate you though, but X-Clan was from.
No, absolutely. That's right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, I could get on the Q train at Cortelia Road.
Okay.
And Brother Jay might walk in on Church Ave on the train. All right. So I did a drawing of X-Clan that they weren't happy about.
I remember. I remember that one.
And I did a drawing with Brother Jay and Lumumba. And Lumumba wore beads. So I drew them like going over his mouth up to his nose in the drawing.
I remember.
So I come to the Source probably like 2 days after the magazine hit the stand. And I think it might have been Reggie Dennis, who was the original music editor at the Source. He's like, yo, Lumumba called up here looking for you. They weren't crazy about the drawing. What you want to do? So I said, give him my number. So they gave him my number. I got home. My point of view is always this, right? I want to know if you got beef, who you are, where you are, what you look like, so that you can't surprise me and jump me on the street because I have no idea who you are.
Right.
So I approached it the same way with X-Clan. Y'all in my neighborhood. I get on the train and you get on now at Church Ave. And now you got a beef with me, and you know who I am now.
Right.
I need to So I get home, phone rings, and if you remember the sing-songy talk of Professor X,
right.
I pick up the phone. This is gonna be my terrible Professor X imitation, but he's like, "I'm looking for Andre," and I'm like, "Yo, this is him," and he's like. I just calling to find out, do you have a problem with me? What were you trying to say? The drawing with the beads, are you telling me I talk too much? And I'm like, nah, I'm just saying you wear a lot. I'm just saying you wear a lot of beads. So it got quiet. And he's like, that's all you were saying? I was like, yeah. And he started laughing. And then me and him were cool up until the time he passed away.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to X-Clan, man. X-Clan was a big during.
Now the thing is, even though that went smooth, years later, because I'm putting together a book of my work. So I interviewed Brother Jay in Paradise.
Okay.
To find out his actual feelings. And he was like, "Yeah, we was looking to come get you." So
I already know that.
Yeah,
I already know that they want to come. But listen, man, I don't say. And I think that it was largely because during that time, a lot of magazines, especially hip hop, because before that you kind of only had like Right On and all of that, and they were notorious for misquoting and writing weird articles and stuff saying that artists had done things, and so a lot of rappers just didn't know how to gauge what was going on. So it was obviously mistrust right off the bat and whatnot. Like, okay, gotta be a jab.
And like you mentioned, magazines like Rap Masters and Word Up, those were quality magazines for photo reference.
Right.
So those are what I use, but they didn't really go in depth story wise about hip-hop.
Yeah. So, but no, shout out to X Clan, who was definitely one of my favorites, man. I love what they did musically and whatnot.
Yes.
And whatnot. So listen, hey, we got a couple of clips. We just gonna roll here.
Okay.
If you see something you want to talk about, let us know.
Yep.
And,
let's talk about that big pun. Let's get that one out. I hate that drawing.
I love that.
All right, so let me explain to you why I hate that drawing. And hate is a strong word, and I mean for it to be hate and strong at this time. All right, so I'm up at Loud Records because I knew some people up there, and I meet Pun for the first time.
Okay,
Our album hasn't come out. I'm notorious for not trying to meet anybody or getting to know or become friends with any hip hop artist,
right?
Because I didn't want to have to hold back,
right?
So
right.
during that time period, I didn't try to get to know, hang out, be cool with, none of that stuff. But I meet him. The people that I know introduced me to him, and he immediately, which always bugs me out still to this day. When I meet people who I am fans of, and then they find out who I am in that hip hop world, I usually get a shift where they ask me questions, tell me how much they love my work. So he was like, "Yo, it's a pleasure to meet you. Yo, when you draw me," he immediately went there. So the brother knew he was headed for success because he's like, "So when you draw me," and remember, nothing had come out yet. I just want you to freak it and make me look good and all that, right? Okay. So of course he finally blows up where I do have to draw him. This is before actually the album drops, and in those days, you needed like a good month or 2 months to really have good photo reference to draw somebody.
Right.
So his record label had no good photos. I had terrible photo reference. There was nothing on the newsstands. Of course, once the issue came out, there was reference every fucking way to draw him. So I had terrible photo reference. So that shit don't look a damn thing like him to me, right? And then the joke was terrible because he really hadn't established himself. There were no videos for me to look at and be like, "Oh, this is his sense of humor, this, that." So I vowed the next time that I drew him, I was going to rock that shit and whatever. The bad thing is, the second time I drew him was after he passed away.
Okay.
And I did a drawing of, which is one of my favorites, of his just a face. Mm-hmm. I have the Puerto Rican flag behind him. Yeah, and I have like the subway map of him going to the Bronx.
Yeah, I remember
and that is, to me, I nailed all the elements like I told you I described.
Right.
So in comparison, that one to this one, I hate that one.
Well, I tell you what's crazy about this one. When we saw this one, we actually thought you were proclaiming him the new sheriff in town.
That's why it's a dumb drawing. Because if you can come up with he's the new sheriff in town, and then I got people using like little fucking kids using their hands as guns, it just ain't do what it was supposed
to. That's what we all thought it was. Like,
okay, that's the one. Now that one, you can't fuck with that.
Yeah, that one was dope.
I really wanted to make sure I gave him the full respect that he deserved, because when we met, it was respectful and it was cool.
Yeah. This is actually dope and whatnot.
The Nelly one that says what it says. The Pharrell, that's just kind of play on the whole Star Trek Enterprise, kind of using the mixing board as his whole thing.
Right.
Let's see what else you got up in there.
Yeah, I'm going.
I always like doing political stuff. Sometimes it goes over people's head, but that's Bill O'Reilly and a Fox playing because they were just talking so much shit on the regular about hip hop and trying to blow it up and whatever. So I did that one.
Yeah, that one was definitely top 10 right there.
Yeah,
definitely top 10.
Anytime I can make a statement of merit. And just say something, but also show melanin kissed people in a positive light. I was happy. But if my whole thing was this: if you as an artist said some dumb shit or did some dumb shit, then it was like in my mental contract. Right. I didn't have to clown you. I would just take your own words and turn it into a visual, and you clown yourself.
Got you. Yeah. Got you.
All right, so the one to the left, I left the source in 2006, 2007. Because motherfuckers got cheap and tried to pay me less.
Okay.
So it was time to go. Took a break. Probably didn't really draw too much hip hop. Because I became like Prince. You know, like Prince wrote "Slave" on his cheek.
Right.
People weren't allowed to discuss the source with me. I was the artist formerly of the source. That was my name. I got over my anger towards that because then I signed up and joined Facebook in like 2009. Right. And I just got flooded with love from France, Africa, talking about people love my work and this and that. And I was like, oh, okay. We kind of made a little print more than I thought of, and then I started teaching, and then probably like 2012, the bug hit me when there was like a beef budding up between Common and Drake, all right, and ideas just popped into my head because I used to get monthly ideas of stuff. Right. So once the idea popped back in my head, I started drawing it for myself. I self-syndicated it to like all hip hop DX. I did something that not as many eyes saw it, but the fact that I tried to self-syndicate myself to hip hop sites was unheard of, and people didn't really know how to handle it at first because certain places was like, if you do it for us, we don't want anybody else to use it. And I'm like, well, y'all ain't paying me that kind of money, and I'm just doing it. So around this time, of course, Lil Wayne was like big and extreme. So I came up with the idea. Everything just fit. George and Wheezy. And the F is for finally got a piece of the pie. So everything, the joke, the visual, everything clicked. So I knocked that out. And right now, that's currently, I'm in the process of probably doing 2 one-man shows. So I'm starting to put little flyers out to buzz about it. So that's where that one came from. Okay. And the other one was me reinterpreting a Tribe Called Quest album cover. I just did my version of it.
Right. All right.
Yeah. The Snoop one. That one's kind of so-so. I've drawn Snoop way better than that, but that was a quick turnaround. So I had to get that out there. Lauryn Hill, the idea did not meet my execution. Okay. That's one that I wish I could do over again because there's something about it. It might have been my attraction and love for her. I could not capture her the way she was in my brain when I drew her. So, yeah. Okay.
I think there's just 2 more left on the.
All right. So the other one, the PM Dawn Krs-one. That is a piece that I have. That's one of the pieces. There's like 3 or 4 pieces that I have absolutely no control over. Meaning, people post it, people change it, because the reality on this one is this: when that beef went down, there surprisingly, because we're going back in the time zone, there was nobody who had a picture of it. There was no video of it.
No video of it.
You have people who were there telling different stories and versions of how it happened. I think the best story that I heard was only recently, which is Kenny Parker. His fit, because what I actually did was once the event went down, I came into the source. I had heard what happened. I was not there. So as the journalist that I also because I also wrote the source and everything. I wrote under a different name.
Right.
I interviewed about 10 people who were there. They told me what happened. Now, to make it look the way it did and make it be memorable, of course, I made him literally pick him up. He didn't pick him up and throw him off the stage. But mine was the illustration that showed what happened during that beef, and people post it when the time comes up.
Oh my God.
So that one's been in books. People have used it and paid me for it. People have used it and not paid me for it. So that's kind of all over the place.
Listen, let me tell you something. I remember this beef. I remember when this happened and the word got back that this happened. And I think we all kind of knew that it was probably going to be, the next illustration.
Yeah.
But when we got the book off the newsstand, it was the buzz. Like that morning, I'll never forget, we came in and we popped it open and everybody was like, yo, do you see this? Yo, we fell out for hours. We fell out for hours because this, the story was big, but even just the cartoon, bringing it all to life, like, oh my God, we were out of control.
I love that, but there's only one reason I don't like the piece, because like I said, I post it every now and then. People post it yearly. I see it all over, and then of course Prince B passed away. Right. But I've seen people post it and tag his brother in the background.
Right.
Piece, like on Instagram. So here he's seeing his brother who passed.
Right.
He's seeing people still going in on fuck PM Dog.
Yeah.
So he is definitely not cool with it, and I am cool with him not being cool with it, because that's not shit that I would do.
Right.
So I'm sure he's not a fan of mine, but I ain't got shit to do with posting it. You know what I'm
saying? We get it, and obviously we as fans don't always understand that there's people behind and whatnot. As a sense of culture, it has earmarked for us a specific time in which this hip hop thing was moving in a certain direction. So that's one of the reasons that we love it. We certainly don't because we knew what was kind of going on or whatever have you, but we didn't really think like it was going to be the end of PM Dawn. We were just like, okay, this thing happened, and if I'm not mistaken, this wasn't like PM Dawn wasn't the first ones. There were others. The PM Dawn thing was just the biggest one that happened and whatnot, based on what was going on at the time.
It was at T Money from MTV, Yo MTV Raps. It was at his birthday party.
Right.
So there were a lot of people in the house, from a Queen Latifah to or whatever. So there were a lot of big MCs at that time who were with me.
Oh man. And
the other one was just me. Now when I started going back to doing a lot of comic shows like the Schaumburg and whatever, I just wanted to bring some old new stuff to the surroundings. So there's been a lot of people. I will take my crown as you have people. I look at it this way: you had graffiti artists who took superheroes, right, and put them on the side of trains and that type of thing. So we give them their credit. You have a brother named Eric Orr who, like in '86, did a hip hop comic called Max Robot, right? But I claim the title of taking MCs and making them into comic characters that made sense.
Right.
All right. So there's a lot of people who do that now. They may give me my credit, they may not, but in case they didn't, I'm gonna let them know where they got the shit from.
Fair. Hey, gotta let them know.
Yeah. So
gotta let him know. Yeah.
This was just me updating an old drawing I had done of Krs-one as the master of Kung Fu. And I just did a comic cover. So when I bumped into him at Comic-Con in 2018, I had never met him. I was talking to him. I never usually just be like, tell folks who I am, what I did. That's just not my flavor.
Right.
And then somebody came over and said, yo, this the brother. And he switched on me. And he was like, oh, I love your work. And he could mention exactly which one I had drawn of him.
That's cool.
Whatever. And he wound up interviewing me for something. So, yeah, I just wanted to, once again, hook it up, go in depth, did the Master Kung Fu, made it make sense. And there you go. Shaolin.
Yo, that's what's up. Listen, man, like I said, for people that don't know, man, listen, there's so much history here behind this gentleman. And a lot of what we do now online, Facebook, Instagram, started with him. It started with his artwork. The way that we present, the way that we communicate through the artwork started with this gentleman right here. And this is one of the reasons that we had him on today and whatnot. So tell people what you're doing these days, like where can they find you? I heard you mention you got a book coming out, which is ironic.
I'm working on the book. Right now the title tentatively is Caricature Assassination, I Killed Hip Hop. And that'll be just a retrospective of my book, of my work from the source, my work from Def Jam. I did a lot of stuff with Def Jam. I did Ja Rule's album cover, Blood in My Eye.
Okay.
I've done comic book covers for Marvel. So it'd be like a retrospective of my work. So I'm working on that. Okay. The longest part of that is I've been getting certain interviews. What I do is certain artists like LL, who I've drawn like 7 times.
Right.
We sit, meet with him, let him go through the 7. He picks which one he liked the best. He gives a comment on it. We write on it. That's like where I interviewed Brother Jay in Paradise to give the backstory on that story I told you, but then I have the afterwards and their comments on it. So it's the sketches.
Right.
It's the finished works. It's the process. All of those are in the book. So that's taking a minute. Right now, currently coming up, I probably have a 1-man show in Brooklyn, probably like September, October.
Okay.
And I normally wouldn't mention this, but what the hell? I probably have another show to celebrate 50 years of hip hop at the African American Museum of Music in Tennessee.
Okay.
So that'll be a big joint.
That's a big joint.
Yeah.
If and when that happens, the right shit's got to be there.
Right.
And then those are just some of the semblances. I got other things bubbling.
Okay.
But those are the 2 that I'm actually working on. Trying to have 4 new pieces done with my crazy ass schedule. So
okay. Okay. So website, social media.
AndreLeroyDavis.com. Website is still forever changing. Instagram. You got the Full Government, Andre Leroy Davis. That's the secondary page, though.
The Full Government.
Full Government. That's the secondary page. And then the main page, which has more followers, which is AL Dre Day. ALDREDAY. AL Dre Day. Okay. Same thing on Twitter, but never tweeted. Hate Twitter. Hated it before everybody started hating it. But I'm still on there because people like I said, people sporadically will tweet my art and tag me, so I just sometimes just retweet it,
right?
That type of thing. But that's where you can find me.
We'll leave links to everything down in the description for anybody watching to go and check out your work and drop a follow and all that good stuff.
Cool.
So I guess I don't want to keep you too long, but I do have to just ask a couple questions here because I just let Chase do all. I let Chase do all the talking.
Listen.
It's not every day you get to meet your hero, bro.
Y'all are actually good. If you want to kick me off in 5 minutes,
no.
No,
we're not kicking you off. I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep you.
You want me to stay on longer? I'm good.
So I always like to tie it back into the nerdy stuff because that's what this podcast started on, was like a lot of the superhero stuff. So I see a little Captain America shield in the back. I see a little Batman behind you. So I guess my question to you is, can you give me like some of your favorite superheroes, whether that be you personally or to draw or however you want to let us know?
All right, so let's fix your wording though.
Okay.
Let's make it cool nerd.
Okay, cool
All
nerd.
right?
Cool
Nerd.
Cool.
All right, so like I said, from a kid watching my brother draw, he had a lot of DC comic books. He had like Green Lantern, Hawkman. So that was my intro.
Okay.
After I found Captain America, I never really was a DC fan. So I love my brother for getting me into art, comic books, but I left him alone on that. So now, focusing back on when I was like 8, 9, 10, during that time period, catch this. Captain America, Steve Rogers, was from Brooklyn.
Right.
He was an artist. And during that time period, he carried his shield in his portfolio as he walked through the city. How cool as fuck was that?
Doesn't get cooler than that.
So I had no choice that Captain America was my favorite character as a kid. He's still my favorite character.
Okay.
And then as a how would I call it? As a white superhero, as a colonizer, he introduced me to the Falcon.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the Falcon introduced me to Black Panther.
Okay.
All right. And I used to love, there was an artist named Billy Graham who drew the Black Panther, I think it was Adventures, when I was a kid. And his art was incredible. And then that led me to Luke Cage. Right. So Captain America led me to all the black characters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So right there are my favorites: Captain America, Falcon, Black Panther, and Luke Cage.
Very cool.
Nice.
And then of course, others came along, like really love Wolverine and that type of thing. But I was in paradise when Netflix brought Luke Cage to the screen.
Yeah.
And can't nobody tell me that wasn't the best out of all of them.
Okay.
And no, there can't be no debate. Daredevil was fly.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he was no Power Man.
No
Luke Cage.
Yeah. Listen, I get it.
We say all the time on our show that a lot of we didn't love all the what's it called? Iron Fist was terrible. It was one of the worst things ever. Yeah. But we say all the time, you probably couldn't have casted better for Luke Cage than what. Oh man!
Listen.
It was
they went back and grabbed the dude who did Daredevil, and I'm not mad at that.
Right.
But if you don't at least make an attempt to get what's his name back in the Marvel universe under Luke Cage,
I would agree.
Nah, because people talked about, what's that comedian name? The one who used to do the
Terry Crews.
Oh please, no, I don't want
Terry Crews.
Yeah. That's
nah. Why he was? I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was good.
I'll tell you what's funny.
Coulter or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Terry Crews. When we first started seeing him,
Terry Crews has the physical look.
Yeah, he has a physical look. But
it's Michael Coulter, by the way.
Michael Coulter.
Or Mike Coulter. I just want to give flowers. He did a great job as Luke Cage.
Listen, regardless of what they say about all the other episodes, and you will get white hate because you mentioned a black character, which is the one that they go back to in history, shut Netflix down because so many people were watching it. That was Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. That's true. This is true. Yeah,
it's the truth. It's the truth. All right, so listen, we got we want to thank you so much for coming, though. We won't keep you forever here, but we know we got to wrap this thing up. Forever. Andre Leroy Davis, man, a legend, icon, like whatever you want to give him all his flowers, man. I am forever a fan. I want to personally thank you for everything that you've done through the years, because it definitely kept me popping that book open through them 16 years that you had to Source and Beyond. I actually ran into him at the Black Comic Fest in Harlem at the Schomburg. And as soon as I realized, I was like, "Yo, listen, we got to do this. This got to happen.
Get him on the show.
We got to do it again when I'm closer to having the show hang."
Well, listen, we tell all of our guests, man, you're officially family. You can come back anytime you want to. The door's always open. Let us know what's going on. You got updates. You got anything dropping? You can always come here. You know, we don't turn anybody away and whatnot.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, so again, man, make sure you check him out. Check the website. Keep looking out for that book when it pops. You'll catch him at all the festivals. Man, listen, this is a legend. Shake his hand while you got a chance to. If you're from my age and you see this man, shake his hand and tell him thank you. Because trust me.
And I'm after I shake your hand, I'm gonna probably like put some hand sanitizer on. But it's all
where people's hands.
and a brother from Brooklyn like myself, man.
Yes.
Salute, man. Yeah. Hey, thank you once again. The Artist Spotlight, Mancave101 Podcast. You know what we do here. Man, it's a man in the chair. Play my music.
Catch y'all on the next Artist Spotlight.
Peace.
Peace.